Okay, hi. It's today we're doing level 9, class 7, Progress Venus. So each planet's its own layer of consciousness, its own level of development. With the sun, we saw the progression development of our ego soul, or our sense of individual ego, and how it empowered things. And with Mercury, we saw the development of our mind and where our mind went and how our mind evolved and thought, and we began to figure things out, or even if you go spiritually, how you begin to transcend your mind, or the challenges that come up that pull your mind into thinking certain ways or certain attitudes. Now we have to deal with Venus, which is a whole nother level. We've gone through this before. At each level in astrology, really, you're learning the nature of each planet. It's like you're learning the nature of each dimension of consciousness, or each level, or psychological level, or each of the, you can call them each of the gods, or each of the different celestial beings. And we're coming to know them in different ways, and we become more and more attuned or sensitive to them, or aware of them. Yeah, so in early Europe, they used to call them the gods. In Muslim countries, there's only one God, of course. So it's more the planets are either angels or genes. You turn in, you depending how you're living, you either have the angelic presence, heavenly angelic presence coming into your life, or you have the kind of demonic genies coming in and pulling you into matter. So it's still same energy, but we learn the planets. So when you first learn, we just go through the first level. We're learning each of the planets and what it means. You know, the moon's the memory and the past, and our feelings and our basic needs, and everything before this moment. And the sun is the Mercury is our mind and how we make sense out of things and communicate things. Venus is our emotions, what we're attracted to and repulsed from. It's our sense of self-worth and our satisfaction of Venus. Then we see the sun being our ego and our confidence, and inside the ego is the individual soul. So we have the ego soul, and then we have Mars, how we use energy, and Mars and Jupiter, the understanding of our use or misuse of energy, and Saturn, the sense of restraint or limits, and then the outer planets, you know, the excitement, the romance of Uranus, the romance and adventure of Neptune, and the reality check, or truth and confrontations of Pluto. So in each way, we're kind of, at each level, we're kind of stretching our awareness of each of these planets, or each of these beings, and coming down different aspects of them. So we saw them in the signs, how they pick up the attitude of the signs, and how the freedom and sense of freedom and responsibility, and the I meanness or we usness comes through the signs of the zodiac, and it adds on to the planet. So the planet picks up the attitude of the sign and is working more independently or more socially, or more responsive, freely or responsibly. And each person comes in and picks up that attitude. That Mars works that way, that Mars or that planet works that way for that person. Then we saw it to the houses, and how the energy, once it picks up the attitude, it's going to throw the energy above or below the horizon, and rising or setting into the subjective or objective functional worlds. Then we began to look at the aspects, and we went through the aspects, and we saw how each of the different levels of consciousness have a relationship to each other: the mind and the memories and the values and the desires and the thinking and the ego and the confidence and the things you're doing and your understanding and comprehension. We began to see the interactions and the stress tensions between the planets. The planets were the energies. The aspects are just the relationship between the energies. No matter what kind of difficult aspects you have in a chart, no matter how much it piles up in stressful aspects, you still have to use each planet and the sign it's in and evolve its quality in the house it's in and express those energies and evolve it from the houses to the signs to a more heavenly, a more higher nature. So the aspects just tell you how much stress is involved in it. It's not whether the chart is good or bad. It's just how much stress is, how hard you're going to have to work towards this, how intense. So what happens is we tend to get grounded and think the houses are real, and the planets just add energy to them, or the signs are real and the planets just, but really the planets are the energies and they're colored by the signs, and they go into the affairs or the areas of the houses. Those are like the scales around the energies, but really we're unveiling the understanding of each planet. Then we got to the transits, and we watched how each planet went around by transits and saw the timings. And when we were working with the transits, Mercury, Venus moved so fast, and the moon, we didn't even hardly touch them because they were just frivolous hourly moments. You can see them in a chart, and a chart for a transit, but really when you're looking at the cycles, they're really very quick, fast cycles. But so with the transits, we learned Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, these energies and how they affect your life. And the whole key of the transits was that if you aren't living responsibly, if you aren't doing justice to your Saturn, you don't have a right understanding, and you're going to get into trouble. If your understanding understands what's responsible and what your duty is, then it can guide Mars properly, and you can gain respect or accomplishments or get works done. And then there's the need for excitement and for adventure and for truth and reality. But each of those come at a cost that can disrupt your stability. If you're living justly, then you're as well prepared to face excitement, romance, and the confrontation with truth as you can be. If you're not living honestly or respectfully, the other planets tear your world apart. So Saturn is really the key of the transit, holds it together. So then now we're up to the progressions, and when we did all the advanced techniques, we expanded what we could see through the signs. We expanded our understanding of the attitudes. We're right down to degrees and sub-degrees. We've expanded our sense of the houses. We've expanded aspects. We expanded all these areas to make it more detailed. But that's so that we can be prepared to deal with the slower progressions. And in the progressions, the sun only moves 90 degrees. Venus and Mercury move only a section of the chart. And we've really learned to see Mercury and Venus really clearly, where we don't see them so much in the transits. We really see how they become part of our being through the progressions. And the outer planets too, but really we learn a lot more about Moon, Mercury, and Venus through the progressions than we did through the transits. We saw how our natal chart was affected. Here we're seeing how we're evolving in these matters. So, yeah, okay, so we're dealing with Venus, and we sure got beautiful astronomy pictures of the planets now. A close-up of Venus. It's color-coded, of course, but Venus is a really strange planet. Its atmosphere is sulfuric acid. One step on Venus, you got a facelift permanently. But no, like even spaceships dissolve, like they don't last. It's a really volatile, stormy planet. I don't want to get so much into the astronomy, but it's just enough to see it, and then we'll come back to look at it. When we see Venus going across the sun, we call it transiting the sun, but Venus can only go in front of the sun when it's retrograde. Like, oh no, it can, like whenever Venus is between the Earth and the sun, it's retrograde. Whenever it's on the other side, when it's not retrograde and it's conjunct the sun, it's on the far side of the sun, further away. So these are astronomy. They have some relevance, but we'll get enough on our hands to deal with just right now with the progression. So this is just the transits of, this is June 5th, 2012. This is the transits on that one day of Venus. Venus moves a degree, half a degree, 40 degrees, almost a degree a day, or it can slow down, be less, it can be a little bit more, but there's Venus going across in a day. The sun is about half a degree. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these pictures are taken about every 2 hours or every hour probably across the day when the Earth is facing it. So it's about a 12-hour series of shots. So more closer up, when you're seeing the intensity of the sun and Venus, you're seeing the burning of the sun a bit more with Venus coming out. Again, it's still just a spot bigger than Mercury was. We're still just a spot now. Okay, so then Yeah, we'll come back to that. Okay, so we'll just come back to have Venus in the picture while we're talking about her. Okay, so Venus is it's your desire factor. It's your relationship to desires. The progressed Venus relationship to desires across your lifetime and how they change. It's desire. It's what you want. It's what's going to satisfy you. It's what you like. And conversely, what you hate, what you don't like, what you don't want, what you're repulsed by. That's Venus. These are all issues of values, of liking and disliking. You love someone, you hate someone. It's about values, and values change. Choices change. We make 1,000 choices a day. I like to wear this. I don't like to wear that. I want to wear this. I want to wear this. I will comb my hair. I don't comb my hair. These are all choices. We walk this way. We walk that way. We're going to buy this. We're going to buy that. This is all Venus, our choices. So Venus, it represents our desires, but this goes down to lust, it goes down to vanity, it depends what we're attached to, what we're obsessed by, what we want, and how hungry we want something, how lustfully, how strongly, or how detached, or how we don't want something. You don't want something 1 minute, want somebody 1 minute, not want them the next, or like this. I mean, Mercury has an influence on here, so many reasons why we don't want something, but usually it's our desires that seduce our mind. So as soon as we want something, we want it so bad, Venus gets our mind thinking about it. We want it, we want it, we want it. I can feel it, I can know I want it. So I start thinking about it, thinking how I'm going to get it, what I'm going to do, what I have to manipulate to get it. So we start using our mind to try and go get it. And then once we get used to having what we want, the moon comes in and say, we need this, I need to have this. That's the moon, is our feelings, our needs. I need this. So the three of them conspire to build up this huge attachment into life. So, but the Venus, this sense of your relationship to desire, to lust, it sounds dramified when we're talking about it. It's really, as you watch it go through the progressions, it follows around the sun. It's going to have its retrograde period, its stationary periods, and those are much longer than they're twice as long as they are with Mercury. So they're bigger phases of our life. There represent bigger things, but wait, how do we change what we want? How do we evolve what we want? How does it evolve? How does it change? When are we content? Where are we not content? So in the lessons of wanting, desiring, lusting, having things, gotta have things, collecting things, getting things, there's a certain point where you learn to share, to give, to let go, or to be content. Usually when we get something we want, we're content for a moment. We're happy as soon as we get what we want. But as soon as we've got it, we want it again, or we want more, or we want more. There's no stopping to it. Venus just keeps picking up and going, and it really pulls us into life. It pulls us into karmic attachments. It pulls us into situations that have attachments that are based on having or not having, liking, not having, happy, sad, loving, hating, just like it pulls us into directions that really pull us away from contentment, peace, love, real love, non-attachment. Wow, those are the mystical things behind Venus, how contentment can evolve. How we don't have to be caught in the storms of gross passions or storms of gross attachments. Whew. When it comes down to rent day, most people have some attachments or wants or desires. They'd like to have the money to pay the rent. Or not.